3 down, 1 to go for Ohio State. What a night at AT&T Stadium, the Cotton Bowl Classic College Football Playoff Semifinal. Absolutely delivered a thriller, a slugfest, a knockdown, drag-out fight between two of the nation's best teams, and Ohio State won it 28-14. They earned it, tooth and nail, back and forth with the Longhorns. These are two really good teams, and I don't even know where to begin on snap judgments. With Jeremy Birmingham, I am Austin Ward. The celebration is still ongoing. It is nearly an hour and a half after the game. Families out here. Buckeyes heading to the bus. They are going back to Columbus, and they're going to get ready for a national championship date with Notre Dame.
Yeah, you have to start with how good these teams are. I mean, I know that Texas all year long, and I've tried to think about that throughout the week, that the odds that Texas would continue to play so inconsistently, or maybe not to the level of their talent, it felt like eventually something had to give, and they played their butts off tonight. I mean, that was a really good team. I was walking off the field talking to the Ohio State offensive linemen, and they were absolutely just bled out.
Gassed.
That Texas defensive line was the real deal. I think it's the best they faced all year, again, across the spectrum. Maybe not as good as Michigan's defensive tackles, but when you add in what they did with the defensive ends, with what Colin Simmons was doing, what they were that was a really, really good group. And Ohio State obviously came out of the gate swinging, and they score on the first drive, and you think, okay, here we go. And Texas adapted. They did a great job with their defensive plan. We talked about it on Bold Predictions. I said I thought they were going to bracket Jeremiah Smith the whole game. They did it without fail with their two best defensive backs. Did a great job. Will Howard kept fighting. Obviously has the play in the third quarter you wish you get back when he tried to force it to JJ. But Ohio State was, man, let's call a spade. The Buckeyes fans are here, probably 35% of the stadium. Ohio State fans, maybe.
I thought
maybe
it was
40.
I thought it was more. It was pretty close to an even split. Much more close than I think Texas fans would have liked. Now, this side of the stadium,
it was louder.
Behind the camera is where the orange was. The burnt orange was a lot louder.
Yeah, they were more ready as a fan base. And I thought the Ohio State fan base in that fourth quarter, when the Buckeyes come out and have to get a drive with 10 minutes to go in the fourth, you could almost hear them exhale when Quinshon Judkins punched it in for the second touchdown to give the Buckeyes the lead. And at that point, as tired as Ohio State was, as teetering on tilt as they could have been, everyone rose up, and Texas has probably their best drive of the game to get down to the 1 yard line. Ohio State bows its back, makes an incredible play on first and goal from the 1 after a pass interference that put Texas at the 1 instead of the 2, after a pass interference that put them at the 2. And then you get back-to-back plays that if Ohio State goes ahead and wins the national championship against Notre Dame on January 20th, those two plays by Caleb Downs and Jack Sawyer might go down as two of the most important plays in Ohio State football history.
It's pretty remarkable. You start right there with Jack Sawyer in that play. The interception that he had on November 30th is lost to history. You know, it was one of the most incredible, improbable interceptions that you're ever going to see. It didn't matter. The Buckeyes did not win that game. He got a second chance to make history, and when he came around the right side of Texas' offensive line on that 4th and 8, well, that's going to seal the game, but then Ohio State's going to have to run the football, and they're going to have to bleed the clock to get out of this. And it'll be
they would have needed 2 first downs to end the game
in a one-score game. But you think, well, that's kind of cool. Like, Jack Sawyer's going to punctuate that by sacking Quinn Ewers and putting this game in position for Ohio State to end it. No. Strip sack, scoop it up, take it the other way. I believe they said in the press box the longest fumble return for a touchdown in college football playoff history, and Jack Sawyer got a second chance to make history. He got a second chance to go win a national championship. Came back for this, one of his best outings of all of last year. Came in a forgettable Cotton Bowl. He came back in here and one-upped it with one of the most sensational plays that you're ever going to see. And it does overshadow a little bit what you're talking about, Berm. I know you, as soon as I got down here for the post-game celebration, you were already talking about Caleb Downs and knifing into the backfield there. Certainly huge. But everything collectively for Jack Sawyer and what it means for the program, my goodness, it's like a Hollywood, story. Like, you couldn't even write a script that feels believable compared to what he just did.
For this game to go the way that it did, and the reality is Jack on the 3rd down and 8 play was this close to getting a sack on Quinn Ewers and ends up throwing the ball away, and then he goes right back out there. Other defensive linemen were tapping out on that 4th down, saying, "Hey, I'm gassed. I need a break." And Jack just lined up again and went and got it, and then they ran 90 yards on the fumble recovery. it's truly, I mean, again, I don't do a great job of hiding my fandom in moments like this. I can't recall a moment like that on a field with the Ohio State football team other than Ezekiel Elliott going 85 yards against Alabama in 2015, on January 1st, 2015. That moment was absolutely electric, and again, it could not happen for somebody better. Nobody deserves it more than Jack Sawyer. So, unbelievable. I mean, you could see the crowd waiting for something bad to happen, and then the Buckeyes said, yep, we're going to rewrite our story. You could see, if you were on social media, you could see national sports writers crafting the narrative about Ryan Day's program falling short once again, and then the Buckeyes just said, nope, we're not going to do it. And Jim Knowles, tons of credit. The cliche of give us an inch and we'll defend it, like, that is not a cliche when you continue to make plays like this that Ohio State does.
Yeah, you preach that for 3 years, and that's exactly why that team does not quit. That defensive effort was phenomenal, bar none, and it bears repeating. I think the reason that this win resonates and it feels so significant, and like there are things that we can nitpick about it, and I'm sure we will.
We got 10 days to do that.
They don't really matter because Texas is a damn good football team. And Ohio State did not play its best football game.
Shot themselves in the foot a lot.
The penalties in the first half, 3 drives that they killed themselves with, personal foul, holding from a tight end, holding on the offensive line, false start. They were penalized more tonight than I believe in any other game this year. They were not playing clean. They had an interception. They blew some coverage. Jim Knowles, we talked to him for the notebook, that he got a little greedy at times with blitzes, and Steve Sarkisian and Quinn Ewers made him pay with those 2 touchdowns. Again, there's no point in dwelling on it. Ohio State won a college football playoff game against Texas in Texas, and now they're a win away from the national championship. And if that's the worst that you can play and escape against Texas, well, good, because I bet they're going to be healthier, more motivated, and Notre Dame, for all we'll talk about them plenty, for all of their positives, they are not as good as this Texas team was.
No, that Texas team, I'm a believer. Back earlier in the year, maybe we talked about it on shows or not, maybe we didn't. I know I've said it. I thought Texas was the best team in the country in September. I thought that they are the second most talented team in the country, top to bottom, as far as their roster construction. They proved it tonight. They were awesome. And Ohio State just kept swinging and finally was able to deliver. And it was not the normal cast of characters. I mean, we talked about it on Bold Predictions. We thought it'd be a good game for Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins. Those 2 both showed up. We had Jeremiah Smith, figuring he would not be a real part of this offense, see Cardinal Tate step up. Will Kazmarek, G. Scott making a couple big catches over the middle to keep chains moving. And then Will Howard, when it needed to be done, picking it up on 4th and 3 down here, where Ohio State at the 35-yard line needs a 4th and 3 or really at that moment gives all of the momentum to Texas with a chance after they had just been like carving through the Buckeye defense in their last 2 drives. And Will Howard, I mean, again, turf monster. That dude, he must be allergic to 20-yard lines. I'm telling you.
There's a ridge over there just inside the red zone. I don't think it was his fault.
But, it actually probably worked out better that way because the Buckeyes ended up taking more time off the clock.
That's true. Yeah.
And they reestablished themselves up front. That last 20 yards that they had was just man ball. And it really was an impressive as good as Ohio State had played the last 2 games against Tennessee and Texas. It was unreasonable to expect them to play at that level again tonight. I thought for all week, and that's why I was closer in my score prediction to thinking that it'd be an under and not really the cleanest game. And it wasn't clean, and they shot themselves in the foot, and they still found a way to make the plays that they had to make. And the coaching staff deserves a ton of credit. So do the players.
Yeah, I think that was the sense that I had throughout the second half. If you're going to be making the number of mistakes that Ohio State did against a team as good as Texas, like, I don't see how you're going to win it. Like, eventually, especially as the injuries mount, I think that's the other part of this game that is certainly going to be relevant to the discussion for the next 10 days. Everyone saw on TV the welt on Will Howard's left hand from hitting that helmet early on. JT Tuimoloau coming out of the game, getting acute. He left the stadium about 15 minutes ago with a brace on that left ankle. It was heavily taped. He went back in. He made a nice play to start the 3rd quarter, but that looked pretty scary. You had Cody Simon. Knee kind of buckles a little bit there. He has to come out of the game. Not sure trying to get an update on what, like Denzel Burke, why he did not. I think it was on that tackle, got maybe dinged up a little bit.
He didn't play at all in the fourth quarter, did he?
I think Jermaine Matthews played the entire second half, if I'm not mistaken. I'll double check that. But you saw, again, this is the first time really all year where the physicality that Ohio State played with was returned to them. And then they had to lean on their depth. And you saw moments where Kenyatta Jackson is coming in the game. Edric Houston is coming in the game. Hero Canoe is making a tackle. To your point, when it's not the normal cast of characters, Ohio State had to turn to a bunch of other guys to get this win. But still, at the end of the day, the seniors met the moment. Emeka Ibuka was phenomenal when they were able to get him involved in that offense. When you have 29 seconds left in the second quarter, and it's like, okay, with drive starter, Ryan Day, the screen, the convoy.
When was the last time we saw that?
It works like almost every time. And I thought they could have been screening up Texas a lot more than they did, but they had the right moment for it. They called it. And then you had a convoy. You had Tegra Shabola, Carson Hensman, and Luke Montgomery right here, all go out and get blocks right out front. It was perfectly designed. And then Travion hit the track speed and went to the end zone. The seniors met the moment. They got help off the bench from the young guys that were waiting for a chance to help, and they did. This is another complete victory for the program, even without saying that all of them played their very best, because they didn't.
No, they didn't. And there's going to be lessons that you take out of this. Notre Dame is going to be very, very smart the way they play defense. Al Goldens and Marcus Freeman are going to watch what Texas did tonight. They're going to watch what Michigan did on November 30th and say, that's how we eliminate Jeremiah Smith. And so it's going to be up to these guys to have even more on their plate over these next 10 days to figure out you can't win. I guess you can win a national championship with Jeremiah Smith being that not involved.
Neutralized.
But you certainly put yourself at a disadvantage and make it a lot harder than it needs to be, to quote Coldplay. No one said it was going to be easy. No one ever said it would be so hard. And they got it done. What do you got to say? Ryan Day, man, have you ever seen him that way after a game? Or during a game?
During the game. No, the celebration after the Travion Henderson touchdown, never seen him really do that in public. Yeah. I guess, no. The only thing that even comes to mind from like outward displays of the emotion and competitiveness is where I'd like to know where Lou Holtz is right now. Yeah. But in terms of like actual plays and in the moment when the game there's still 30 minutes of the game to go, boom, 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 whatever, fist pumping and finger guns. And I saw, Luke Montgomery going up to Pat McAfee after the bully ball touchdown and throwing some horns down. Like these, we said it after the Rose Bowl. We said it after, not so much after Tennessee, definitely after the Rose Bowl, that they're having fun.
Yeah.
Like even Ryan Day is having fun. And he had a special moment there with Jack Sawyer. He had exuberant celebrations for big plays. I think he had some questions about some of what was going on with the officiating. That's, a conversation for another day. Doesn't really matter. But all of that.
We won't get this ACC crew in the national title game.
Seen about enough of the
As
ACC.
Notre Dame is an unofficial ACC member, I don't think we will get the ACC crew as the Buckeyes have had for the last 3 weeks.
How can they send one conference with Ohio State the whole way through? It doesn't make any sense. But that's a conversation for another day, or maybe we don't need to have it because it doesn't matter. But, again, when we have made this point, and it applies to November 30th, the leadership must come from the top. Mm-hmm. And it has. You can't argue it. Ohio State's not winning this game if Ryan Day's not coaching the way he did. 4th and 3, going for those situations, even going for it and pushing the envelope and dialing up the screen with 29 seconds to go in the second quarter. Yeah, could have easily gone to the locker room. You're getting the football back. They did not do that.
They were on their heels a little bit at the end of the half there. Texas scores their first touchdown to 100%. We have seen Ryan Day in other situations, not this season because he's been this aggressive all year long. And I don't know if that's Chip Kelly's influence or what, or if it's just Ryan Day being able to be more in the moment. But he coming out and calling that screen pass on first down was similar to what we talked about at the end of the first half against Tennessee. Like they were like, hey, we're going to go. And that there's a lot of talk when you get a second chance, right? And you are a team that's in this playoff with 2 losses and you think to yourself, we are the best team in the country, but you needed help to get here. You needed the committee to tell you still deserved a shot. And there are a lot of times when people say, we're going to do it this way this time. We're not going to fall back on the things we've always done. And then you get into the big moment and then you tighten up and you do exactly what you've always done. And Ryan Day, to his credit, has definitely not done that in these last 3 weeks. And I can't help but think he's not going to do that in 10 days either. And Wow, what a matchup. Ohio State, Notre Dame, and Atlanta for a national championship. What in the world? It's funny, though, because, I mean, again, we're going to talk about this a lot. There are so many storylines that have already been being written about this Ohio State team, and so many, like, get-back moments that are this building. I was just talking to Devin Brown coming off the field here, and he's like, last time I was here, I was right here when I got hurt. In this place, I hated this place. Lincoln Keenholz walking off the field said, wow, what a difference a year makes. And Notre Dame probably has the most get back in this game against Ohio State with the way that they lost last year. And so it's, I think, the first time in this playoff where Ohio State will be the team that has less internal motivation or external motivation, I guess, because Notre Dame has, they're going to watch that film, that 10 men on the field penalty over and over and over again. And Marcus Freeman and Ryan Day, wow, what a story.
Yeah, and I don't think that Ryan Day will be dumb enough to talk about Marcus Freeman's hairline at the press conference when we get to Atlanta. But that's...
do you think he's going to say they should be in a conference?
I don't think he's going to do any of that.
Why would a coach do that?
Well, see, James Franklin is an idiot, and Ryan Day is not an idiot.
Got it.
I think that's probably the main difference that I see between the two.
Got it.
But everyone can have their opinion on that. That's mine, and that's why I'm sharing it on Snap Judgments with you.
Yeah, I hope James Franklin doesn't watch this. You may be getting a nasty gram in the mail.
Is that the worst thing I've ever said about James Franklin?
Probably not, but hey.
Well, take a look back through, James. You've got a bunch of free time now. Your season's over. Ohio State's is not. They're going to head to Atlanta, and so will we next week. But first, we're going to leave North Texas, and we're going to head back to Ohio. The Buckeyes traveling on Friday night. It was a road game for them, not a bowl game. So they arrived late on Wednesday, and they're heading home on Friday. They've got 24 hours to celebrate, and I bet, based on what happened when they left L.A., Ryan Day will be watching Notre Dame film half of this game against Texas, which was an absolute classic in a street fight at AT&T Stadium that his team won. That fight's not going to be as long, so I don't know how much film he'll break down, but we're going to find out soon enough once we all get back to Ohio and get ready to turn the page for the national championship game in Atlanta on January 20th against Notre Dame. This was Ohio State 28, Texas 14. Cotton Bowl is done. Snap Judgments are over. We're out of here. That's Jeremy Birmingham. I'm Austin Ward. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk to you later.